Good morning, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to this morning's Workforce Roundtable. It's my pleasure to introduce a brilliant group of speakers who are going to share some local workforce training opportunities and resources. So joining us, we have Kathleen DeMuth, who's the Business Services Representative at Access VR. We have Amanda Karch, the Director of Community Engagement and Professional Development at Columbia-Greene Community College. We have Kelly Radzik, Director of Career Success and Experiential Learning at Columbia-Greene Community College. Christopher Nardone, the Director of the Columbia-Greene Workforce Office. And arriving shortly, Jim Church, the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Questar BOCES. Chris, do you want to get started?
Thank you everyone for coming. At our last Workforce Roundtable, we talked a lot about the shifting demographics and kind of had a somber presentation, but I think a much needed one. And we talked a lot about how we can kind of combat the demographic shifts that we're seeing. And part of that was through training the employees that we have and looking to demographics we maybe wouldn't have followed up with traditionally, and then offering training opportunities for them. So we thought there would be a lot of value in bringing together some local training providers and service providers so that they could tell you a little bit about what services they offer, what educational and training opportunities they can help with, and maybe address some of the issues that everybody's seeing around having a lower skilled labor force that you kind of have to skill up rather than getting the recruiting people that have those skills already. So we've noticed that there's the quality of the recruits that people are getting, because the labor market demand is so heavy. A lot of people are having to recruit employees that don't necessarily have the skill sets that they need right out of the gate, and are having to rebuild a more robust training program. Over the past 10 years, a lot of businesses have kind of deconstructed the training programs they had and replaced them with software-based or online training programs. And in the future, that may not quite be enough for some of the recruits that we're going to have to be working with, because they just won't have some of those basic skills. And you will probably need to rebuild the training programs and work with places like Access VR or Questar or the college to kind of help fill the gaps in the training programs that you have developed. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Amanda Karch and Kelly Radzik from Columbia-Greene Community College. Kelly and Amanda.
Hi, I'm Kellyanne. I am the Director of Career Success and Experiential Learning at Columbia-Greene Community College. And so my job is career coaching with the students, but also employer engagement. So I want to run through a couple ways of helping you connect to students, and then I'm going to talk about the higher level of college employer partnerships, and then Amanda will jump in with all the great things available through her office. So the first tool I want to talk about is Purple Briefcase. So that is a platform we subscribe to, and you as employers can post listings out to students for either full-time or part-time jobs and paid internships. And this is really the best way to engage with our students right now. Many of our students are choosing online options. COVID started that, and we're seeing that trend continue. It's really an effective way students can set up to get notified when jobs come through that match their keywords. So it's not just posting and hoping they'll log in. Purple Briefcase actually will, ping the students and let them know that your posting is up there. You can also connect with me, and I can put your hiring events into Purple Briefcase. There's a calendar for students, and again, that will ping the students based on keywords. So it's a really great dynamic system. How you get an account is the easiest way is just to email me instead of Purple Briefcase has an employer engagement page, but it's a little clunky. So I'd rather just help you out, and we can 5-minute phone conversation, and I can quickly get you set up with that. And again, it's called Purple Briefcase, and the great thing is you don't have to wait for me. You can post as many jobs as you want, when you want, and it goes into a waiting queue, and then I check it at least once every 24 hours, and I approve, and it goes out to the student. So it's a really efficient system. And again, students are used to right now accessing most things online, even our in-person classes. The professors are, recording their content because with all the COVID quarantines and things, students are using all of those online backups. So that's item number one, purple briefcase. Item number two is, I know you want to have that personal touch and sort of engage with students. And often I get calls from employers who are like, I just want to go in the classroom and talk with your students. The best way to make that happen is to think about your employees who would be interesting speakers for the students to learn more about certain career paths. I maintain a speakers bureau list that I update and send to faculty a couple times a semester. And really, faculty won't let you into their classrooms and do a commercial to come work for your company, but faculty will let you come into their classrooms and talk about and educate their students about the career and important topics for the industry. So again, if you have speakers from your company who would be willing to do a virtual or in-person visit that aligns with one of our classes, that's a great way to get more connected to students in certain divisions. And again, we can set up a quick phone call to talk about those possibilities. The third thing I want to talk about with connecting directly with students is we have two career-focused non-credit programs. The first one is the Career Institute. That is for college business majors, although we do let in some other majors. It's an honor to get nominated. It happens during the January intersession, and we're always looking for speakers to talk about professionalism and workplace culture. The second one is a new program we just launched called Career Connections. That is for juniors and seniors in high school. And that is around, again, it's all focused on developing career skills, having career experiences, and we're focusing on 3 career clusters this year. We're focusing on healthcare, we're focusing on business, and technical professions. And this program, the students start in the spring of their junior year and they stay with us through the spring of their senior year. So there's lots of different opportunities to either be a guest speaker or offer a career experience. Real quickly, I just wanted to touch on, a lot of times we get requests from employers to do tabling on campus. And right now, honestly, that is not effective, even pre-COVID. It's sort of like those people in Walmart who are trying to sell you the cell phones. It doesn't tend to play well with the students. They're kind of like, no, busy going to class. What we found is much more effective is to hook up with the Department of Labor and Chris's team when they're having recruitment events on campus. Our students, we advertise it and the students will go to those. They like that, but they don't tend to really enjoy the tabling as, it would seem like it'd be super convenient, but and especially right now, students are very focused about when they're on campus and they do their business and they're not hanging out extra time right now. I think with the COVID situation, they're here, they do their work, they get off of campus. We're hoping that in spring we'll have a little more engagement and we can have an update on that. So the second thing I want to quickly address is college employer partnerships. That is something that we love to discuss. I can help with collaborating with faculty. There's a couple things you can do. You can provide internships that really fit into the course progression, not just advertise a paid internship, but actually work with the faculty to figure out how that would fit into the plan. We also have honors courses and capstones courses where that wouldn't be a full internship, but maybe the students can do a project that would be beneficial to your company, interact with you, and get, achieve the course goals. So those are all things we can kind of discuss. I can facilitate those conversations with faculty. In January, we offer a job shadow program, and when there's no classes. And then we are always looking for mentors for mock interviews. So those are all ways to sort of get involved with the faculty. We have advisory committees and focus groups as we're doing program reviews. And then the last thing I'll say is we are now developing, we have micro-credentials that we're developing that Amanda's going to tell you more about. Now we're starting to take those micro-credentials and build bridges to credit. So that's another way to kind of collaborate with faculty as they're designing these micro-credentials that give students specific employable skills. How can we make them interesting to your employees and bridge them over into a credit program? But I'll let Amanda tell you about all of that.
Thank you, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Karch. I'm the Director of the Office of Community Engagement and Professional Development at Columbia-Greene. My office focuses on the non-credit and continuing education courses. And as Kelly mentioned, really starting to build programming that bridges to the credit side and blurs those lines a little bit. I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as I go on. One of the first things I want to talk about is our programs and our classes that are open enrollment, non-credit classes. If you live in the area, you've probably seen our newsletter that comes from the office. We're really focusing on developing open enrollment courses that speak to specific skills that we're finding that employers in the area need, whether they need them for new employees or for current employees to upskill them and to get them trained in this changing market. We understand that technology needs have changed in the past 2 years. Some of the employees you have may have just been promoted to be supervisors, and while they were really, really competent in their old job, they need a little bit of help, getting to that next level and getting some leadership training. One of the first classes that I'd like to talk about, and because Kelly's teaching it, and we really think that this is going to serve a need, is a course called Connecting Today's Job Seekers. It's coming, and I'm sorry, I don't have the dates on me, but I can get those to you. It's an interactive hands-on workshop, and it's designed to give business owners and managers the knowledge to tailor their job postings and listings in ways that resonate with the local market. And it's going to really kind of be the back end for you and how you can put job postings out to get new employees in your building and in your space. From there, we also have classes that can speak to the employees you already have. You want to retain people that you have because we know how difficult it is to find new people. So upskilling and training and retaining the employees you have through things like the computer classes that I mentioned, supervisor and leadership training. We have project management, conflict resolution, just to name a few courses. We also have some specialized training and certification courses that we do on campus as open enrollment, but that we also will go into your business and help you with first aid and CPR training that we know a lot of companies used to do these trainings on their own. In the changing climate, it's harder to bring that in and have that in-house. So you can contact us and we can customize these courses for you. ServSafe certification. We have a security guard recertification course. We work with a lot of local businesses to do that. Infection control is taught by one of our nursing faculty, for example. And all of those non-credit courses transition, like Kelly mentioned, to talk about, we're going to talk about micro-credentials. It's a really big thing right now in higher ed. Micro-credentials are designed to meet current and emerging market needs and align with relevant industry standards. They're giving employees, potential employees and current employees skills, hands-on skills for the workplace. And they're also incredibly flexible to develop. So when you develop a credit program in higher ed, it takes quite a bit of time. We can put micro-credentials together pretty quickly with research. We get data from Chris and Danielle about what our local industries need. We meet with our faculty on campus, and we come up with these ideas that we are finding really help the businesses in our local community at the moment. Currently, we have 2 on the books. Kelly mentioned the workplace professionalism micro-credential, which is tied into the Career Institute that she talked about. Students can take the Career Institute as a non-credit class by itself, or they can take the next step and get the micro-credential, the workplace professionalism, which is a badge they get through Credly, and it's by doing a project at the end. The same thing with the customer skills for professions that we just developed. These 2 micro-credentials are non-credit, but we've developed them in a way that there's a third piece. It can either be a research paper, it can be a presentation, it could be one of your employees doing training on premises based on what they learned with us. And those 3 pieces can bridge to a business 105 3-credit class. So it also gets your employees on track for that college degree if they want to go in that direction. help them feel supported and what you're giving them to grow as employees and with their skills. All of our non-credit classes, all of our trainings can be customized specifically to your specific business needs. So if you are finding that there's a piece that you're lacking in training on campus, you can contact me. We work with the faculty. I work with Kelly's office. I work with the workforce office, and we can put together a program or a class that's going to fulfill what it is that you want and need at the moment, or we can customize one of the ones we already have on the books to be more specific to your industry, for example. So the college can help you really specifically address in the moment concerns that you have for recruitment and training. If there's a specific computer program that you need, we can work with our computer science faculty, for example. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them, at any time. You'll have our contact information, Kelly and I. You can reach out to us either individually or collectively.
Great, thank you so much. I just have like one or two questions. So what is the cost of, if a business wanted to come to the college and have let's say an Excel class or whatever class for the staff that they have existing, how would they calculate the cost of that? What would it, you don't have to give actual numbers,
Yeah.
but would it be?
So basically the way, it's not a set cost like the, per credit, like the credit side is, we cover the cost of instruction and a little bit of overhead, basically to, keep the lights on and to, the back end work. And a lot of the time we do it per student. When we do an open enrollment class, when we do it for a company, I work with them and we talk about exactly how many hours they need, how many hours the instructor will have to be there. So for the supervisor and leadership class, for example, right now we are working with a local business. They wanted 10 hours of training. So we were able to come up with the cost based on those 10 hours, the faculty members pay per hour, and the work that goes into developing the class. And we try to be as accessible as possible. We're a community college. That's kind of what we do, is we work with the community, and especially local small businesses. We know that, especially right now, that funding can be a problem. So we work with, we can do a collaborative. So like two businesses can come together and each send 5 people, which brings the cost down. We work with your office on funding for students. If it's someone that you're recruiting and you haven't hired them yet, and that they need this, if they fulfill their requirements to get funding through the workforce office, that can help pay for tuition. I work with the Columbia-Greene Community College Foundation in certain ways. And that's very specific to individual students and what their needs are to cover some of the costs. And I do have some grant money that I can help with individual students. With businesses, it's really a collaborative effort and conversation to make it as accessible to them as possible, and yet, affordable and the college.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Our next presenter is going to be Kathleen DeMuth from Access VR. She's going to talk about Access VR services for businesses. Is the mouse working? As long as the technology holds out.
I guess it's that way. So hi everyone, I'm Katie DeMuth, and I am a business relations representative with the Albany District Office of Access VR. So we serve 9 counties in the Capital District. So Access VR is through the New York State Education Department, and it stands for Adult Career and Continuing Education Services. So our mission really is to support individuals with disabilities in achieving their employment goals, and that's possibly through education, training, and different job coaching supports, placement supports, assessments, and different career exploration and development opportunities. So our mission at Access VR is to assist individuals with disabilities to achieve and maintain employment and to support independent living through training, education, rehabilitation, and career development. So Access VR services are eligibility driven, and they're in our case, it's really based on the individuals that we're supporting. But we do have a business services side, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. But specifically for the individuals that we support, they have to be determined eligible for our services based on their disability. So our services are eligibility driven. They're voluntary, so no one's told that they have to work with Access VR or anything like that. They come to us because they want support and they want help in achieving their goals for employment. Our services are vocational rehabilitation services. We are one of 2 state agencies in New York State that provide vocational rehabilitation services. Access VR supports everyone with disabilities except for people that are legally blind. The Commission for the Blind would support people that have legal blindness. So our funding is mostly from federal and state dollars, and to businesses, our costs are no cost to you. I know some of my fellow colleagues say our services are free. Well, they're not free. I mean, they're funded in other ways. Yeah, we are here to support, and we want connections to businesses because ultimately we want to be able to support the individuals in attaining the job goals of it. After they do their education, their training, they're really prepared and they're ready to go. They're getting connections to businesses is key. So some of the things that Access VR business services do. Well, I already said we have no cost recruitment. So as a business service representative, a lot of businesses send their postings directly to me. Those postings go out to our counselors, the providers that work with individuals that are looking for jobs and to job seekers themselves. So it's a good way to just connect to a different market. And I know something we're talking about now. I went to the presentation where Chris had with the Sandsdemic and just everything that's going on, connecting to a different market. This labor force that's somewhat untapped, to be honest. I mean, there's people out there that are looking and they've been looking, and they wouldn't traditionally be thought of just because they may have a disability. They might ask for a reasonable accommodation. They might need some sort of technology to help them achieve their job. But they are still able and very capable people that are educated and trained. So we have a network of support, financial incentives, and we'll go into more detail about that. There are financial incentives out there for hiring people with disabilities. We, as a business relations representative, I have been trained as an ADA leadership network trainer. So we provide trainings on disability-related issues regarding the ADA, disability etiquette trainings, those sort of things. I can come into any business to talk a little bit about that. That might be helpful right now with just employers really thinking about retention and making sure that they have a very welcoming and conducive environment for all. So we also have we'll move on to. So financial incentives. The financial incentives that we typically connect businesses to would be the WOTC, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. It pairs with the WETC. So the WOTC is a federal tax incentive. The WETC is a state one. So the federal one covers the first year of employment for an individual, and the state one would follow with the second year of employment. They combine for about $4,500 in tax savings over a 2-year period. I should say up to 45, because it will depend on how much the actual employee works and the wages that they're paid. But typically, it would be reachable for most employers. So it's been approved through 2023. It provides up to, the WOTC provides up to $2,400, as I said, in federal tax savings against the first $6,000 in wages, 40%. During a year 1 of the employment for the person with a disability. And so there's some forms that have to be completed for that. And I usually walk the business through that completely. I fill out my portion to certify that the person has a disability, send a packet on, and we have to make sure that the completed packet gets to the Department of Labor within 28 days of the person becoming employed, their first day of employment. So when we talk about the WETC, that actually is paired with the WOTC paperwork. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. As long as we get the WOTC paperwork in at a time, the business is eligible for the WETC. If for some reason we missed that, they started before you were aware of it, there is an application for the WETC. Let's that and have that be applicable. So as I said, it combined $4,500 across the 2-year period. That does help businesses. There's some other things that we help connect businesses to, like the disabled access tax credit. So smaller businesses that incur expenses providing access to persons with disabilities can receive some access credit. And we can go into detail about that if that's applicable. There's a barrier removal tax credit, which is any size business, and it can be up to $15,000. And that is sometimes applicable to businesses, and you can reach out if you have a particular situation to talk about. So I think one of the best things that we have that might help in this particular situation when we're talking about employees that you may have already that you're looking to kind of upscale and train and move on. We can talk about some of our wage reimbursement programs. So we have the work tryout program, which is an opportunity for a business. Typically, we use this as an opportunity to assess an individual to really think about whether they can do a particular job role. Or we do it to assess for an on-the-job training program, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail. And I think that might be more applicable to most situations where you already have an employee. But we can sometimes do work trial. And we use it as a financial incentive. So if you're working with someone, you're thinking about hiring them, for some odd reason, you're a little hesitant to hire, you can talk to us about a work trial and we can see if that would be applicable. Work trial is basically an opportunity for 100% wage reimbursement for up to 480 hours. And I hate saying 480 hours because so many people start thinking, oh, 480 hours, that's great. But it is applicable to the case. They would have to be justified. There are cases where we definitely have 480 hours of wage reimbursement. For others, it might be different. It'll be specific to the case. We had one that was 60 hours recently. We had one that was 240 hours recently. It just depends on the case. But it is a great opportunity to try someone out, have that time where they're really learning their job, be covered by Access VR. Let us, help them get the job and help you guys be able to really have someone meet the expectation and be able to continue with the job. So, on the job training program is wage reimbursement as well. And it's really about upscaling the position. And I think that's where this is really applicable here. So you may have someone that has a disability, and they would apply for Access VR and be eligible for services, and we could possibly discuss a work trial where they're already working for you in one particular job. Maybe you want to start considering them for another, but they have to get up to that scale to do that. And this is a more planned and thought out training program that would be developed for the individual to be able to upscale to that. And the catch there is that the employer or another employer would have to agree that they'd be taking that person on in that job at the end. But it's, again, wage reimbursement, 100% gross wages, and it's up to 26 weeks. And it would really be based on the actual training and what has to happen in the individual themselves. So those are some opportunities that may be quite helpful in these current times. When you already have someone, you really want to upscale them, and you need some assistance doing that. So, as I mentioned, we have additional business services. So you may have people that you're working with that have a disability, and maybe they changed jobs recently, maybe their manager changed, expectations changed, and they're just not meeting the expectations for their job. And that's when you could reach out to Access VR, have the person reach out to Access VR. If they have a disability, they can apply for services, and we can jump in and help them. We have job coaching, we have different services that might be able to jump in and really do like a job save and help them be able to meet expectations, possibly talk about what other jobs they might be able to do within the organization, or then help them maybe move on to another organization if it's not going to be able to work. So we are available and can help and support in that, and are willing to jump in whenever there is anything. So as I mentioned, we're ADA trained leadership network trainers. We have access to curriculum. I think there's like 40 or 50 modules right now in various different areas regarding the ADA and disability etiquette. And we can jump into any business to provide some training in this area. So we like to share, just make sure that everybody's aware of the Job Accommodation Network. It's a great resource. So much is available on there, and the Northeast ADA Center is also another great resource. And these are our standard links with other resources that we provide, and I provided this in a PDF, so Dana can send that out as well. My contact information is here, and if anyone has any questions or anything, just feel free to reach out at any time. Really just a resource to the community, so here and available. So thank you guys for having me.
So thank you so much. This may be a question that you can't answer, but do you know like about how many people is Access VR working with, like in the capital region? Do you have any idea of that? I mean, it's kind of an on-the-spot question, I know. But.
In the capital region, I think our typical caseload is over 3,000 people. Across the state, I think we quote numbers more like 13,000, 15,000, something like that. And when you consider it, I mean, we clearly don't work with everyone that has a disability, but we work with a good portion of them. And I think what I like to highlight is that, you know what, the last statistic that I read, I think from the CDC, was 26% of people of adults have disability in the United States. And then when you factor in COVID and everything that we're hearing, like increase in mental health concerns, you know, the long COVID and extended, you know, results from that, just so many more people are acquiring these disabilities, and it's going to be more and more applicable. And I think you may not realize the people that you currently have in your workforce that have disabilities. They haven't disclosed. They're, you know, maybe disabilities that you wouldn't necessarily see. It's a very it's a current topic that is just something that is so at the forefront of everything we do. And you know, there could be people struggling out there. They didn't have a mental health condition before. They do now. They're struggling in work, those sort of things. So just knowing that we're out there and available, and that our job is to help, you know that we're here and that we can support. So.
And Access VR, and you may have said this, I'm sorry, is specifically for employment. They're working with people with disabilities for the purpose of employment.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So if a business reached out to you, they're not going to have to worry about navigating a wide array of services. People are looking for jobs, and you can help connect.
Yeah. Anyone that comes to us has to have an employment goal. They're looking for a job. They may be going to an education program or training program to achieve that goal, but they're eventually going to be looking for employment. And yes, we are solely focused on this.
Yeah, and we said in our last presentation, we really need to start looking at people that we historically haven't hired, right? The labor market is such that businesses need to start exploring kind of wider demographic ranges because we're just not going, there's so much competition in the labor market that you're not going to be able to get the volume of highly skilled candidates that we were getting, you know, in the past 10 years ago. So now more than ever, it's really important to partner with places like Access VR and disability provider agencies and Commission for the Blind, and start really exploring as a business how you can engage these populations and really get access to a pretty vast untapped labor source of people that are motivated to work, have higher retention numbers, lower turnover historically, and are really quality employees that just have been overlooked because of the fact they have a disability, and also often come with a wide variety of supports to help keep them on the job and help them be successful on the job that a typical person or a person that doesn't experience a disability or get services wouldn't have access to. So and also supports for the business and the employer on top of that in order to help keep the person keep their job. So it's a real resource for people that are struggling to fill positions, especially entry level, but not exclusively entry level positions. They're people receiving services that have college educations and that.
Absolutely, yes. So a lot of our participants go to college. You know, we have people that graduate and get their, you know, people like to highlight the ones that become doctors or lawyers or, you know, recently someone getting a job with Microsoft making over $100,000 a year, you know. But we have the full spectrum. I think when you think about it, you know, they're just people with disabilities they're in every single, I guess, minority group and everything. I mean, they cover everything just in what their interests are, what their abilities are. You know, we're all, you know, at any moment could become part of this minority group, and it's one of the largest minority groups out there. So, you know, you kind of have to think about it that way. You know, just because people have disabilities, it doesn't mean that they can't achieve and can't do what they need to do to do well in a position in a job.
So just one more question. I hate to keep putting you on the spot, but what would you say to a business that says, you know, I worry about the ADA, I worry about accommodations, I'm going to have to spend all this money to rebuild my entryway? Because before I came here, I worked at a disability support provider in supported employment, and that was something we actually heard kind of often. So what would your response be to a business that's thinking that, like, I don't want to get involved with this because it's going to cost me a ton of money?
just hiring someone with a disability doesn't mean that you would be subject to any of that. And if you do have concerns about that, then we can look into it. And, you know, the ADA, the Northeast ADA Center is a wonderful resource out there. There's some really great people that work there. And then also we can help you navigate that. So if you have questions about that, certainly reach out, we can discuss it. But it doesn't, you know, you're hiring employees anyway, and they could have a disability, and you're not at any additional risk by coming to Access VR. You know, we're just here to help, and we'll actually be able to be a resource to you. So it wouldn't just be a random person that you're hiring, that they have a full spectrum of support behind them. So.
Well, thank you so much. And next we'll go to Jim Church from Questar to tell us a little bit about services and supports that they offer there. Jim, thank you.
Chris, really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Good morning, everyone. So I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives for Questar 3. As you may know, with the BOCES around the state, there are 38 BOCES located in New York State. BOCES stands for Board of Cooperative Educational Services. We provide somewhere close to 300 programs and services to school districts in our region and around the state. Our makeup is Rensselaer, Columbia-Greene counties, and we have 21 component school districts that we work with, providing locally career and technical education programs, career studies, and some other services that I want to talk about today. Just to share this before I get going with regards to some of our programs, please visit www.questar.org if you have any interest in learning more about the programs I'm going to talk about today. First and foremost, with our 21 school districts and our CTE program, I just want to emphasize we are always looking to connect with businesses, community organizations, the trades as it relates to collaboration. That is really what the foundation of the BOCES is about. I'll start off talking about our career and technical education program. We offer a variety of different programs that run the gamut from welding to culinary to EMT, heavy equipment, construction, technology. We train juniors and seniors to develop the skill sets that a lot of industries look for. And when I say a lot of industries, a lot of the skills that our students are learning about are transferable. This would be worth a conversation if you think, looking at our webpage, if you think that there's a connection to our program, maybe that you'd like to learn more about. We are always looking to connect our teachers and our administration with businesses to have those conversations to see where they might be fit. Because the more that we connect with businesses, the more we learn that we're teaching a lot of skills that we may not, we or you may not realize relate to your industry. So for our CTE program, we have over 600 students enrolled in 3 centers up in Troy, here in Hudson, and also in Durham, in Greene County. We provide a variety of different opportunities with regards to engagement, whether it be businesses joining our consulting committees, where they can play a role in reviewing how we're training and educating our students and helping to better align our curriculum with the changing needs that industry have. We also have shadowing and internship opportunities that we offer to our students. The shadowing is for juniors, and it basically exposes them to different opportunities and gets them, helps them become aware of the different businesses and careers that are out there. The week-long internship opportunities, these are opportunities for students to get hands-on work experiences. So this is not shadowing, this is actually students who are working with businesses and where students have an interest in going into these industries post-graduation. And we also have opportunities to visit our training centers beyond just the consultant committees. We always have hosts that come into the classroom, whether it be to talk about career opportunities and industries out there, but also to engage with the students in the projects that they're working on, or to talk about activities for the teachers to consider introducing. So there are a variety of ways to connect with our career and technical education students, as well as with regards to our career studies students. These are students who learn in our training programs at a different pace. Those courses include the building trades, culinary, and introduction to automotive technologies. And these are students who are developing skills as well that when we talk about different populations, some of these students with regards to their skill sets are perfect fits for some industries as it relates to fitting into certain job requirements that they're looking for. I'm going to pivot here because the next program I'm going to talk about falls under career and technical education, but this is a new program that we introduced this past school year. And to be introducing it during the throes of COVID, to be quite honest with you, at the beginning, I wasn't sure if this was a good idea, but it turned out to be pretty successful for the first year. Last year, we introduced the Youth Apprenticeship Program. This is a program that we offer to students that are enrolled in our welding, HVAC, construction technology, and also heavy equipment operation and maintenance. This is a much more intensive opportunity for students. Basically, this is an opportunity for students to get 200 hours of paid workplace experience over the course of the summer between the junior and senior year to work with businesses. So again, this is not a shadowing opportunity. This is an opportunity for students to work for a business. And it's also an opportunity for businesses to get the first chance to host students who could be their future employees. This program is not for every student. Students who are participating in this program have to apply to it. They have to meet certain academic and classroom standards in order to stay in the program. And what happens is during the junior year, we set up shadowing experiences for students to visit 2 or 3 businesses that have relevancy to their training. And through that process, they get to learn about the business and see how their skills apply to those businesses. But it also gives a business the opportunity to really gauge how serious a student is going into this kind of industry and to be working for them. Then we have a matching ceremony that happened back in May of this past year, in which the businesses, after hosting students, have the opportunity to select a student or students to work for them for those 200 hours of workplace experience. We ended up having actually 30 companies that signed on as signatories originally to participate in the program. We ended up placing 15 students this past summer to be working with residential home builders, HVAC companies, heavy equipment operators, and also welding. And of those 15 students that were placed, all 15 finished their 200 hours of workplace experience over this past summer. Some of them were close to 350 hours. And the feedback that we got from the businesses that hosted these students was that if they could have hired them right after their workplace experience, they would have. A couple of them have job offers already following their senior year in which they're going to be looking to hire these students. And so we are in the beginning process right now as it relates to recruiting the next class, the juniors coming in for this upcoming year. So we're fortunate because although we had a number of signatories that signed on, we were not able to place for a variety of factors, and COVID did weigh into some of it with regards to student placements. But we were thrilled with regards to both the interest and also the outcomes, and also the the possibilities for these students to go on to be working full-time jobs after they graduate this upcoming June. If you have an interest in learning more about that program, between going to our website, you can look up the Youth Apprenticeship Program. We have a special page for that. You can also reach out to me at james.church@questar.org. I'm always looking to connect with businesses, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So those are a couple of opportunities as it relates to our current technical education program. I'll mention one more program that I oversee also that works directly with our 21 component school districts. This is called the Business and Education Partnership Service. This is basically an opportunity for either school districts, businesses, community organizations, colleges to collaborate. And I presented yesterday to a school district over in Greenville, the Greenville School District. And then one thing I always emphasize to the faculties that I speak to is that this is not a STEM program. It's not a high school program. It is an opportunity for any business, college, or community organization to connect with our educators and students. As you can imagine with something like this, it runs the gamut with regards to what I would call the boilerplate opportunities of guest speaking opportunities, student tours, teacher tours, guidance counselor tours. Also with regards to collaborating with teachers to engage and develop in activities that aligned both with what's going on in the classroom, curriculum wise, and also how it relates to the real world. In a nutshell, this is about trying to bring relevancy to how what is taught in the classroom connects to real world applications. And so this is an opportunity to get in front of not only our CTE students, these programs, but the student populations back in the home school districts. Something that may be of interest, a couple of opportunities. We have Career Fair Fridays, which provides a platform to a individual business to speak not only to our CTE students, but also to our seniors who are graduating in our home school districts who are unsure what they want to be doing post-graduation, to talk about a business, career opportunities, how to apply, wages, things of that nature, career ladders that businesses and organizations offer, and really an opportunity just to get an audience that, again, that goes beyond our CTE program, but the seniors are around our district. And also we dabbled in last year because of COVID. Obviously COVID made us all have to pivot, figure out how to continue these connections. We developed a program of virtual tours where we last year we connected with Siemens Machine Tool, which is an Albany company, an Albany manufacturer, and we had the CEO. And again, this was the first opportunity that we tried to do this. We had the CEO do a PowerPoint presentation from his office. And then he had his director of communications go down on the manufacturing floor with simply an iPhone and literally walk around and guide school counselors through the process of here is our manufacturing floor, here are the different careers, and here are the different employees, here are the different skill sets that we look for. After that tour, which was about a half hour to 45 minutes, we then shifted over to Hudson Valley Community College, where we did a tour of their advanced manufacturing program, and we talked about not only the advanced manufacturing program, but how they work with a business like Siemens Machine Tool to support workforce development. And so this year we did a panel discussion back in October with the video game industry, where we had 3 representatives from studios in the region speak to school counselors and building administrators about the industry. This is a growing industry in the region and has workforce needs just like we all do. And there was also an opportunity to highlight a local not-for-profit that works with what I would call wannabe gamers, students and adults who have an interest in learning about how to be gamers, how to develop games. So if there's just a message that I could share with you in closing is that if you have workforce needs, and whether they relate to our CTE programs or whether you're looking to get in front of our students in our CTE program or career studies program or homeschool districts, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am somebody who, Chris and Danielle, that probably can appreciate, I stalk. When there's an opportunity, I try to walk that fine line of being very proactive in collaboration, but not being too much with regards to overstepping my bounds. But I'm always looking to engage, and I'm always interested in having these conversations because a lot of times the outcomes that we have are very fruitful, and all it takes is a phone call or a Zoom to begin these conversations. So, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. I just have a couple questions, and maybe we'll wrap a little early, give everybody a little bit of their time back. But this is kind of for the group, and maybe we'll go in the same order we did the presentations. What do you think is the most valuable or beneficial thing that you can provide to employers? If they're looking to the college or to Questar for something, what do you think is the most valuable or beneficial thing that you can offer to businesses?
I can start. I mean, my office specifically and the college, probably the customized training for employees. As everyone was talking and mentioned, populations, recruiting populations of students and potential employees that typically we don't look to, right? I didn't mention this in my book. We have an English as a second language class, which has just been growing and growing because we're doing outreach. You did outreach for us. And it's my favorite class that we have in the non-credit program. And the students who are in there and taking it non-credit are there because they want to go into the workforce. That instructor has shifted her curriculum and really her instruction. So they talk about their individual roles. And so that that constant communication and collaboration, I really value, but I think my office, non-credit, we can be flexible, we can develop things quickly. And so that customized programming is really what I think would be, the most beneficial coming.
You want to add, Kelly? You guys are kind of on the
Yeah.
same team, so you.
Yeah.
Yes, so definitely, I would just put a plug in for the college right now is very much, there's a SUNY initiative about developing these micro credentials, and they can be live in credit or non-credit. And so I think the most beneficial thing is I can help you connect with the faculty who are involved in developing those micro credentials, because again, the focus really is to look at the workforce and making sure our programs are aligning with the skills you need as local employers. So we would love to start those conversations. And again, it's a huge initiative. We're basically reviewing every program, every division to make sure we're, really having impactful alignment. So that definitely would be a great way to connect.
So I'd say Access VR is a resource, a connection for you. And that's because it's not about the individual job or anything like that. With us, it's really about the network and the connection and being able to support you in any way that you need it. So you may have job postings you want to send our way. We're not going to send you people or push anyone on you that isn't a good qualified match. It really is about just being out there and being a resource to help you with your ADA needs, help you meet as someone untapped labor source, and see if there's someone for you and see if we have something that's kind of match. And then possibly maybe connect you to some financial consultants too that are out there and available, and we're just here to.
I think it's exposure. So we have in our BOCES somewhere between 28 to 30,000 students. And with the job market being as tight as it is, there are needs on both ends. There's with the labor, there's the filling the employment needs. On the school's end, there is getting in front of students and helping students become aware of the opportunities that are out there. And especially for those students who are unsure what they want to be doing, or for students in our CTE program or career studies, where they're learning skills that are very valuable and can be plugged right in after graduation. I think it's an opportunity for us to be able to tailor, collaboration opportunities, and they can run the gamut. And everybody is busy these days with regards to time. But that's one of the things that we do is to try to figure out where are their best fits and where can we work with businesses and organizations to just to bring awareness and not to wait until we get to late winter, early spring, because we saw that last year. And at that point, a lot of our students, at least in our CTE program, because of the businesses that we work with, they're already either going on to a college program or they have decided because they've been recruited about where they're going to be working. So the sooner the better.
So last question, and each of you sort of work with different populations, and I was wondering if you have any advice for businesses on the best way to engage with the populations. The best way, what do you think is the best way to engage with populations that you support? So we'll say college students or high school students or people with disabilities. If a business says, okay, I'm ready, I want to get my message out to college students, what methods could they use that would be the best way to connect with those people? Right? I know that email isn't great for college students, right? Because they don't check an email, but do you have any advice for businesses that are looking to engage the populations you support?
Definitely for college students, I would say to offer a virtual event, an information session, a virtual job shadow right now, if you could do something along those lines, and really just and advertise, really like advertising the benefits of your positions. I know everyone's stressed out and they're really urgently trying to find workers, but if you could take an extra couple minutes when you're thinking about putting out those postings and really thinking about how can I, see the other side of the coin? What is really special about my workplace and what can I offer to students? They love when feeling supported. If you give training, be sure to highlight that in your job postings, because remember back in the days when you made that transition, you're really nervous about going into that first professional workplace maybe. So, and again, I have that job seeker course that I'm offering. It's free. And we can really go into depth about the younger generations and the keywords that really get them excited.
Well, and my non-credit students tend to be a bit more non-traditional. And what I found with them is, they're coming to take our classes because they have flexibility, they want to change careers, they want to reskill, but they also have families and they have lives and they have commitments. So when it comes to attracting them into our programming, it's flexibility. And we have to do outreach in a bunch of different ways, whether it's digital, whether it's email, whether it's phone calls, whether it's print. It's the older population that is now shifting their focus. And we find a lot of people coming to us because they want to upskill and because the pandemic has really kind of shifted their priorities. So that is another population to do some outreach to, right? People who were in a job, COVID happened, and they found that the industry they were in wasn't supportive of those other priorities in their life. So if you find a way to really do outreach and appeal to that group, I think you would have some success as well.
So Katie, if somebody says, all right, I'm ready to take the leap, I want to target, populations of people that experience disabilities, what do you think would be the best way for them to actually move forward and engage?
So they want to take a look at the job descriptions and make sure that they look and feel welcoming to people with disabilities. So are they, inclusive? Does it really speak that way? And does your website, do the pictures include minority people? Does it include people with disabilities? I mean, all of that. People want businesses to reflect what the community is. That is including all minority groups, including people with disabilities, and being able to see that's the start. And when they start looking for a job, they want to make sure that it's an environment where they're going to feel welcome and that it's a good supportive environment too. So.
And Jim, you sort of already answered this question with the last question, but if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I think because we're always looking to tailor to meet the needs of our students, but also with the businesses. For the businesses, obviously, I won't say we'll do anything, but we'll work with them. And whether it's opportunities with the colder weather and with COVID, obviously there's going to be limitations with regards to the in-person, whether it's hosting or coming into our centers or schools to a certain degree. But virtually, as Kelly said, that is the way right now as we get toward warmer weather. It is, whether it's with our CTE students or our students back in our home school districts, to get students on site to be able to see the kind of work that takes place, and also tailoring the message. My thing is to always try to make sure that whenever we have people who are engaging with our students, that they can relate to them, that they can also share whether it's their own personal anecdotes or maybe of their employees or colleagues of, hey, I didn't know about what I wanted to do when I was your age. And it's perfectly fine to be like that. And here I am now in a career that I either love or doing things that because of the training. And also, to a certain degree, and I hate to say this, but having 3 kids is the kind of lifestyle that some careers lead to. And that the lifestyle you can have by working in these careers. It's really about, in my mind, tailoring the message so that what is most effective, both in relating to our students, but also making it worthwhile for our businesses. And that's one of the things I do in particular with what I do for myself.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I read somewhere you should end with a call to action. So my call to the people that are listening, to all the HR professionals, is really to engage these resources and take advantage of the organizations that are here to help you. The workforce situation is challenging for all businesses, but there are organizations and people in our communities that can really help support your business. So take advantage of them. Reach out to the people. We've sent everyone's contact information in the chat, and we'll send a follow-up email with all the PowerPoints and contact information and websites. But it's going to be a struggle to try to address these workforce issues as a business on your own. And you have resources here, and utilize them and reach out to the people that can really give you a hand. So thank you to all of our guests here today, and thank you to everyone on the chat. I'll give you about 15 minutes of your time back today. If there's any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Danielle or I, respond to the email that we sent, or reach out to our panelists today directly. And as always, our office is welcome to come and talk with the leadership team at your business, or anyone that might be interested in kind of making these connections and working on these workforce challenges. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.